Hello, welcome to the Corbusier Villa Savoye. I'm Mrs. Morin, and I am here with
Mrs. Wyatt?
And let's go ahead and let's begin with the artist. The artist is Corbusier. And Corbusier, that wasn't his real name. That was actually the name he gave himself after becoming, wildly popular. And the historical period was modern. The materials and techniques, we are looking at something that is made predominantly with concrete and, of course, windows with glass.
Yes.
The intended purpose, would you like to go ahead and go into that, Mrs. White?
Well, the intended purpose is really interesting because really that's going to answer our question number one. What is his dictum?
Mm-hmm.
And because this is the age of the machine, with cars and planes and everything that has happened with the Industrial Revolution, he looked at the house as being a machine for living.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is really the very basis of his ideas for architecture.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and he was commissioned by the Savoye family, and it was, part of the idea of this house was to integrate indoor and outdoor space and to maximize their leisure time.
Yes.
So with that, we can take it to the 5 points of architecture because that is really important to how they were able to build something that is essentially a machine for living in.
Yes.
So we could talk about these 5 points here. We have the roof, so the roof terrace, which is meant to basically bring the outside in and integrate it with nature.
Right.
And we see this a lot nowadays, where we see, if you go into Austin, there's lots of buildings that have trees and plants on top of them.
Right.
There was also the facade here. It's called a free facade, actually, and the free facade is basically a part of the building that doesn't have any load-bearing weight. So it can be sculpted into any form
Yes.
that the architect wants.
Yes.
And then we have these windows here, which were ribbon windows, which basically meant that they maximize the amount of outdoor viewing you could
Yes.
possibly have.
And light.
In lights, yes.
That's coming inside.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got so many windows in this that it really is an explosion of light on the inside.
Mm-hmm. And because it's built in such a way, it's still a very strong building,
Yes.
despite having large areas of glass. So that's something you don't see much in the cathedrals. You see lots of glass, but you also have lots of areas where there's heavy stone holding it up. And then we have here the floor plan is what's known as a free floor plan. So prior to this, a lot of buildings were built where each room had their own specific purpose. And you had a house like this with lots of small rooms.
Yes.
And each one, one was the sitting room, one was your dining room, one was the butler's pantry, one was the smoking room. And so in this example, we're going to see a free floor plan, which means that all of those things can exist in one open space.
Yes.
So it allowed for people to all go into a common area together rather than being in their own separate.
Yes. This is a party house.
Yes, it is.
This is a house where you escape Paris
Mm-hmm.
and go into the countryside, and you have parties and people, and it's a house that is very welcoming
Yes.
and warm. I think the concept of having all the tiny rooms was to keep them warm and heatable.
Yes.
And then this one is, even though it does have a big fireplace in it, it still is so open.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And, also when you have a room that has a specific function, you can also keep your servants out of the same rooms as you. And you can kind of hide all the other things that you'd be the unmentionables and such.
Yes. Yes.
But you can think of this as kind of like a bathhouse where everybody's out in the open.
Yes.
And everybody can talk to everybody, which is why it's the ultimate party house, as Miss Wyatt was saying.
Yes.
And then the last one that's on here is the pilotis. I think
That's how I would pronounce it.
Okay.
Pilotis.
I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Me neither.
But those are essentially these this area here with these columns and overhang that allows for, once again, maximum viewing.
Do you think one is a pilotai?
I don't know. Maybe. It's a funny word.
Just thinking, it is a very funny word for something that really is ingenious.
Yes.
It really is ingenious. It is to the same level of ingenuity that in the Middle Ages they came up with the flying buttresses.
Yes, yes.
So this
Also
is
a funny word.
Yes. This is holding the house up and giving us this freedom from walls.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it actually dates back to your question on number 3 there. The piece of architecture all the way from ancient Greece, the Parthenon. So we see something that looks very contemporary, built in the modern age, and it takes references all the way back from ancient Greece.
Absolutely.
So it's an amazing piece of architecture, and looking at it from the outside doesn't do it justice for the inside, which is a whole different story.
It's remarkable because it is still modern.
Yes.
You would walk into this house and you would totally think it could have been built yesterday.
Yes.
Until you look at some of the things like the sink area and things like that. But outside of that, it is so totally still modern.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope you enjoy.